Hi, I'm Caden here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our final locked in prediction for none other than the biggest game of them all, the 2026 Super Bowl, which will be, of course, played by the Seattle Seahawks representing the NFC Conference and the New England Patriots representing the AFC Conference. We, of course, have seen this matchup before in the past when Tom Brady and Russell Wilson went head-to-head and has possibly one of the most infamous plays ever to come from the Super Bowl when the Seahawks passed on the 1 yard line, which resulted in a Malcolm Butler interception and a Patriots comeback win, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe
came back in that game.
That was a comeback.
So maybe as bad as it gets for the Seahawks. If this is not, I know, of course, no one on the Seahawks right now, probably coaching staff or player-wise, were a part of that game. But still, just as an organization, if that doesn't bring back some ghosts from you and kind of give you some extra motivation heading into the game, I don't know what will. But the Patriots have some of their own ghosts of the past that they're trying to kind of exercise, but more ghosts of success. They, of course, have had Brady and all the success before Brady even. Drake May and these young bucks that are in there now kind of want to prove their own, and Mike Vrabel wants to prove that he can win a ring as a coach as well as a player, which would be pretty damn cool for him. So they got their own motivations running into it, just as any team would going into the Super Bowl. But before we jump into those predictions, just a quick update on our head-to-head pick'em game. Last week, the conference championship games are worth 6 points apiece, and I actually ended up getting both games correct, while Callan only got one. So I picked up a total of 12 points, while Callan picked up 6, giving us a total score of me with 28 and Callan with 20. And you've done the math correctly. This last game, the Super Bowl, is only worth 8 points. So the best Callan can do is tie if we pick differently. But will we pick differently? Get ready to find that out now. Jumping straight into the predictions, we do this one a little differently since we're only talking about one game, the big game. We break this down by kind of positions and say which team or which player we think is better for each of these positions for each of the teams participating in the Super Bowl. So the six different positions that we will break down. I got a little thrown off because the win, of course, is also one of the groups that we're predicting. But the 6 different positions that we're going to break down is the quarterback, the running back duos, the wide receiver tight end trio, and then we're going to be looking at the trenches. That's, of course, the offensive and defensive linemen on both sides of the ball. And then you also have the kind of rest of your defense, your second level, your secondary, also kind of factoring in that defensive line as well, of course. And then finally, the coaching, and that runs down from the head coach all the way through the coordinators and the assistant coaches. And then, of course, the big one, who we think is going to win. So jumping straight into quarterbacks, we start off here by agreeing we both have the Patriots and Drake May.
Yes, I like Drake May. I've bought in. He actually proved it to me during that AFC Championship game where he was able to keep his composure and lead his team to the victory. Where maybe Bo Nix would have too, and Jarrett Stidham, he tried, but he didn't have a chance. Didn't really get a good chance to. He just didn't have the experience.
No.
So, it's hard to say in that game, but either way, as far as Drake May goes, he reminds me so much of Dan Marino and that quick release he has, that flick of a wrist that he has. It's uncanny how much it reminds me of him. And I haven't seen anyone with a release like that. Not even Aaron Rodgers' release reminds me of that. So it's funny that he, at such a young age, is able to replicate such a Hall of Fame and established quarterback in Dan Marino. But in my eyes, that's who he replicates. And he's even more mobile than Marino was, because Marino wasn't very mobile, as he proved last week by getting the game-winning first down. So I really like Drake May in this one. Sam Darnold has had a great playoff run. I kind of went back and forth a little bit, but it was 60-40, always leaning towards Drake May. But I do look for Sam Darnold to possibly finally crumble because he's got one more hurdle to jump.
And it's the
Patriots, the team he saw the ghosts against. So we'll see if those ghosts are still there or if they have left.
Will the ghost come back to haunt Sam Darnold? No, I will start by saying that before we started recording this episode, I was even telling Callan, at the start of the season, and especially at the start of the playoffs, the scorned Vikings fan in me was kind of wanting to see Sam Darnold fail. But as he's kind of broke through those old kind of habits and broke through those old sayings about him and have played really well through these playoffs, I've really learned to kind of like him more. And I've rooted for him more, especially in that NFC Championship game. I thought he would crumble, but I truly, truly was deep down rooting for him and hoping he didn't. And he didn't. He played very well. He technically outdueled Matt Stafford. I don't think he really outdueled Matt Stafford, but his team did at the very least. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you all knew where I was going. I'm going with my boy Drake May. I mean, I don't know what I can say about Drake May here that I haven't said already. When he didn't get to pass a ton in that snow game last week, but when he did need to pass, it was like it wasn't even snowing. Mm-hmm. He was still so accurate with that ball, and that's his big thing all year is his accuracy. And my big kind of key to push May over the edge for me in this comparison is Sam Darnold did good in the face of pressure, and he hasn't crumbled like he has in the past in these overall big games. But Drake May is just a whole different type of cool, calm, and collective in these big games. I mean, once the weather started getting bad and the game was close last week, a lot of quarterbacks at only the age of 23 years old in their second season, you would expect them to do something dumb. And he just did not. No. He looked like it was the second quarter of week 5 against an NFC opponent. He didn't even look like he cared. It was so cool to kind of just see that absolute lock-in from a quarterback of his age. So definitely had to give him the notch up on Darnold in this one. Now moving on to our second position, we have the running back duo with the Patriots having, of course, Tre'Davion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. And then the Seahawks having K9 Kenneth Walker and not Zach Charbonnet, of course, but instead probably George Halani kind of seemed to get the
Velus Jones.
Yeah, Velus Jones is in there. It seemed like George Halani kind of got the bell cow of backup running back position, but they really just leaned on Kenneth Walker more than anything. And we agree again here with the Patriots.
Yeah, I like the Patriots duo in this. I will say this. If Charbonnet doesn't get hurt, it makes it a lot tougher of a decision because as a duo, those two are great. They really complement each other well. But unfortunately, they won't be able to do that this week. So I had to go with the Patriots because they're more of a duo. Halani didn't really prove to me much in the NFC title game that he can take over that role that Charbonnet had. Kenneth Walker did prove that he is ready for the lead back role, and he is able to carry that load. But nonetheless, that is a lot to carry on one shoulder, whereas the Patriots are splitting it between two, and those two complement each other very well. With Ramondre Stevenson coming not only up the middle, but out of the backfield, and along with Tre'Davion Henderson, who has proved to be a home run threat and can hit a big play at any time, they can really dominate a game together if they really get going and get their chemistry going. But unless Kenneth Walker just takes over the game, which maybe he has that ability too. I'm not saying that he does, not saying he doesn't. Not really sure on him yet. But unless he takes over this game and proves to be like the Super Bowl MVP, I would lean towards the Patriots running backs getting more yards in this one.
Yeah, Callan already noted it, but first and foremost, huge props to Kenneth Walker. The way he has stepped up and taken over that true RB1 role has been so impressive this postseason, and especially last game. Like I said in our episode yesterday about our predictions, he didn't have the biggest game on paper, but the impact he was able to make against a really stellar defensive front of the Rams was still really impressive and really a huge part of their win in that game. But nonetheless, we're looking at running back duos here, and it's just got to go to the Patriots. ironically, if you take George Halani out of the picture and say in a perfect world that Charbonnet is playing in this game, they're very similar duos where Ramondre Stevenson and Zach Charbonnet are both kind of those grindy yard getter, touchdown goal line guys. And then Tre'Davion Henderson and Kenneth Walker are your big play home run guys. They have a lot of similarities between them if you count Charbonnet. But when you have to take Charbonnet out of that picture, George Halani is a great player. He's a great third running back, but he just, at least last week, and I can't really, it's such a small sample size for him, but he just didn't really step up and be that huge second supplementary back like he needed to be. So I'm going to give this one to the Patriots. To be honest, even with Charbonnet playing, I think I would maybe just barely give it to the Patriots, but without Charbonnet, I very much hand it to the Patriots. So now moving on and looking at the receiving core, your top 3 receivers, your tight end, if you want to throw it in there. We have the Patriots versus the Seahawks, of course, and we agree again, but now this time on the other side of the aisle, we both move over to Seattle and go with the Seahawks.
And the one reason that I like the receivers is one person, JSN, who has proved to be a dominant force in the NFL and for the receiving duo or for the receiving corps of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Patriots have some nice receivers. They have a nice group. They don't have that real solid number one. Their number one is kind of Hunter Henry, their tight end.
True.
So they use their tight ends a lot. So the Seahawks, they spread it around to A.J. Barner. I can't think of their other one right now, but I know they really like A.J. Barner out of the tight end spot. Elijah Arroyo, the guy they drafted this year, that's the other tight end that I'm thinking of. He might be hurt, though.
Yeah. And he's a little bit more of like your slot receiver, tight end hybrid,
But either way, I still like the Seahawks receivers because of JSN and his dominance over the league this year. And also the emergence of Rashid Shaheed, who has proven to be not only a kick return threat, but a receiving and a home run hitter threat on deep passes. So you get that along with JSN, who's just proved to be an all-around great receiver, possession, deep threat, one-handed. He can do it all, and he's proven to be able to do it all. He's another fantastic Ohio State wide receiver where they continue to kick those out. And because of that, I give the nod of receivers and tight ends to the Seahawks, but just barely because the Patriots receiving corps is a great corps together. But like I said, they don't have that standout guy like JSN is.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you look at the Patriots receiving corps. Well, first and foremost, Callan hit pretty much everything I was going to. I completely agree with what he said. But yeah, you look at that Patriots receiving corps, and you're spot on. It's a great unit as a whole. But when you're looking at it, and when your number one wide receiver is a tight end who's really not even a huge vertical receiving threat, and your number one true receiver is probably Stephon Diggs, maybe Kayshon Boutte on a good day. He's kind of a boomer bust guy. If he's hot, he's hot. But then sometimes he kind of doesn't show up at all. But when you look at the Seahawks, you have that obvious number one and an elite number one. You have a great deep threat with Rashid Shaheed. And then you have one thing on that Seahawks receiving corps that neither of these teams have except for this one guy, which is somebody with Super Bowl experience. And not only experience, but a Super Bowl MVP under his belt. Cooper Kupp has really been stepping up through these playoffs. I mean, he, of course, had a huge game and a huge kind of momentum swing touchdown, which gave them or extended their lead against his former teams in the Rams in the NFC Championship game last week. So look for Cooper Kupp to not be the big number one receiver like JSN does, of course, but to have some really key plays and some really huge momentum swings in this game. So moving on, we have the trenches, which, as I mentioned, accounts in both the offensive and defensive line on the ball. And we agree on this one, and we again agree on the Seahawks.
Yeah, I gave the nod to the Seahawks here mostly because of their offensive line, where they have a standout offensive line of Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, and Gray Zabel make up their core of their offensive line. And Gray Zabel has proved to be a steal in the NFL draft this year, as been one of the top offensive line rookies in the NFL all year. They were able to get 2 bookend tackles in the draft a couple of years ago with Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas.
Yeah, and young tackles.
Yeah, so young athletic tackles, mean, gritty guards, a nice center. Not any real big names, but a really great unit. Maybe the biggest name belongs to the Patriots on the defensive side with Milton
Williams and Christian Barmore.
And Christian Barmore, both huge defensive tackles and highly paid defensive tackles. And they were the top free agency signings for the Patriots last year, Milton Williams coming off the Super Bowl from the Eagles. So he has a chance to go back-to-back like Chris Long did when he went Patriots-Eagles in Super Bowls. And this he's trying to pull the reverse Chris Long, go Eagles-Patriots. So we'll see if that ends up happening for Milton Williams. But as far as that goes, when you talk about the Seahawks defensive line, they have stars and studs along their defensive line as well, with DeMarcus Lawrence and Leonard Williams. And that's not even to mention rookie Byron Murphy, who has turned out to also be quite a steal. Now, he was a first-round pick, so he doesn't look up maybe as quite a steal, but a very solid first-round pick. They've gotten great play from their rookies so far this year. And it's because of that, I give the nod to the Seahawks. Even though, like I said, the Patriots have a nice core, a nice unit, they're just number 2 to me in this scenario.
Yeah, 100%. This was probably the toughest one to pick for me. This or maybe defense. Both of those were really, really tough choices, but I'd say this is probably the toughest one to pick for me because, again, these teams are actually very similar in the trenches. They both have some pretty damn good bookend tackles, mostly young. I wouldn't say Morgan Moses is young by any means on the Patriots side of things, but they also have a rookie at left tackle who's had a really, really stellar season in Will Campbell. So we'll see how he'll be able to hold up once he has kind of the maximum amount of pressure he can have against him being here in the Super Bowl. But yeah, what really hurt on the offensive side of the ball for me for the Patriots was that interior offensive line is what kind of knocked them down the list for me more than anything. Michael Winou is pretty good, but I can't even think of their left guard. It's a backup left guard that's been playing for him. It hasn't been playing bad by any means, but just hasn't been. Is it Damian Lewis, maybe?
It might be.
Yeah, maybe
I know their
Damian
center
Lewis.
is Garrett Bradbury.
And then their center is Garrett Bradbury, who I will give has played okay this year, but I think I'll just always be a little down on Garrett Bradbury as a Vikings fan because I never liked him as our center. So the offense and the scheme fits much better for him there in New England than it ever did in Minnesota. So that's been helping him out. But I still think he's going to crumble. I still don't trust Garrett Bradbury regardless. So that Patriots interior offensive line was definitely a knock on them for me. And then they just didn't quite have the edge rush and true quarterback pressure ability that the Seahawks had for me, which the Seahawks doesn't have a ton of that either. That's not like their kind of mainstay of their defense by any means. But I just feel like they're able to generate a little more consistently than the Patriots do. So maybe the Patriots can very much prove me wrong right there and get a lot more pressure in the Super Bowl than that Seahawks edge rushing group does. But that is what we shall find out here in just a short 2 weeks. So moving on to, as what I mentioned, is probably the second hardest one to pick here, and where you really might start noticing a trend about how Callan and I pick these. We have the defense, which is the rest of the defense, the linebackers, the safeties, the corners, and you can still kind of factor in that defensive line, of course, as well. And we agree again, and we agree again with the Seahawks.
Yes, I like the Seahawks defense in this one because, well, they're the number 1 scoring defense. It's hard to not give them the nod in this one when you're the top scoring defense in the NFL. Now, they're not tops in other things like yards or sacks or turnovers, but when you're allowing the least amount of points throughout the season, that's definitely something. And there's definitely something there because there's a complete unit for the Seahawks who have top edge corners and Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, and Kobe Bryant, I believe, is still on the team. So that is just a dynamic set of corners. I know their star safety is Julian Love, and I can't think of their other safety right now.
Nick Amore.
Oh yes, they're rookie. Yes, again, like I mentioned, they got great play from the rookies this year. I can't believe I forgot about Imanori because he's been hurt in and out, so that's why I kind of forgot about him. But he has been healthy through these playoffs,
and that's solid.
And he's been key. Yeah. So because of that, I get the nod on defense to the Seahawks because they got the players, they got the scheme, they got the stats to back it up. And even though the Patriots have had a solid defensive unit, they always have and always probably will. It's just, again, they're just number 2 in this scenario to me because they just don't have that. Look at the guys I named off for the Seahawks. I can't really name off guys like that for the Patriots. Besides, like I said, already mentioned Milton Williams, but you got to think hard. Robert Spillane.
Christian Gonzalez is the big
Gonzalez.
one. But then aside from him, you have Carlton Davis, Carlton Davis is actually really impressed.
Corner.
He's really impressed me this year. He's been playing better than he has in a long time, in my opinion. But he's still not like a true number 2. Like, oh, that's a good number 2 corner. Yeah.
So because of that, like I said, they're just number 2 in this scenario, which doesn't mean they can't win this game. They can still bend and not break. But as far as on paper, statistically, you got to give the nod to the Seahawks for their defensive prowess.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. The Patriots do fall to number 2 here, but that does not by any means mean that they have a bad defense. They probably have the second or third best defense in the league, but guess what? You're going against the first best defense in the league. So second and third is pretty damn good, but it's not first. So there's not much you can do right there. Just a few kind of things that Callan didn't note that, because I agreed with all the points he made completely, but just a few players to shout out more than anything, I suppose. Ernest Jones has came in for the Seahawks and just been a tackle machine.
Another former Super Bowl player.
There is so much going on in that defense and so many other stars that are kind of eating up the spotlight per se, but he's just such a consistent tackler. And the few times that it does, the ball, I should say, or the ball carrier actually does make it past that really stellar defensive line, he has just been absolutely eating them up. It's been really impressive to see there. Devin Witherspoon has been great in that slot corner since they took him. I remember when they took him out of Illinois 5th overall, everyone was kind of like, he's not a true corner. Like, how do you really take him there? It was worth taking him there. He has been an absolute stud for that defense ever since. I talked a little bit of crap about Tyreek Woolen in our episode yesterday, but he is just still so athletic and so long that he's able to make plays, even though he does kind of fall apart mentally and kind of gets burnt sometimes. He is just still so fast that unless a quarterback can take advantage of it quickly, which I think Drake May can, but unless a quarterback can take advantage of it quickly, he's able to make up that ground. But just so many good players on that Seahawks defense, so many amazing players on that Patriots defense. It was a tough one to pick, but I think Seahawks just barely get it. And to be honest, one of the reasons I think that the Seahawks get it very much ties to our next category here. We have the overall coaching category. And believe it or not, we agree again, but we do jump back to the other side of the aisle. We agree with the Patriots.
And I like Mike Vrabel here because, well, he has Super Bowl experience. And not only that, but he's also got playoff coaching experience with the Titans. He's got
playoff and Super Bowl
playing experience. So he is a very experienced coach going into this, whereas Mike McDonald is the rookie coach. And even though McDonald is in his second year, I do believe this is his rookie playoff run. So it's definitely a new scenario for him. It's a new event for him. It's a different type of game because it's only one game. Anything can happen in one game. So because of that, I like the coaching of the Patriots to be able to calm their guys down and take advantage of the situation. Just because Vrabel has been there before, I think he's able to take control. Josh McDaniels, the coordinator, offensive coordinator, same thing, has been there before as coach for the Patriots under Belichick and with Brady. So he has the experience of going into that, whereas the coordinators for the Seahawks are coming in. on rookie runs. So just on paper, probably 2 possible Coach of the Year candidates, but because of that whole rookie postseason, I got to go with the Patriots coaching staff um, as the upper hand here.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to be completely honest. I just looked it up quick because I couldn't remember if it still is. But it is, again, Josh McDaniels as the Patriots offensive coordinator, which is crazy. Because I was like, he has been in that role for so long. And then I see now that he left for a little bit and then came back. But I was like, he was like the coordinator back when like Brady was there. I was like, no way he still is. But then I thought about it more and more. And it is Josh McDaniels.
He's only successful in New England.
And he wins Super Bowls.
And he wins Super Bowls doing it.
I mean, you want to talk about some Super Bowl coaching experience. You got it right here with Josh McDaniels. But I think that's a huge part of it, no doubt about it. I think Josh McDaniels is a great coordinator. But I'm not going to lie. The real reason I picked this one is just because I love Mike Vrabel. What he's been able to do as not even quite that football-minded head coach, but more of that motivator head coach that you love to see and that has a ton of Super Bowl winning experience as a little bit more of that motivator head coach role. He does so good with that. He so obviously cares so much about the players. I mean, I feel like I see at every game that he waits outside of the tunnel and handshakes or hugs or high fives every single player that comes through, every single part of the coaching staff, every single part of the staff in general for the New England Patriots. He just cares about that organization so much from top to bottom. And I mean, why wouldn't he? He played there. He found so much success there as a player. He's finding a ton of success there as a coach now. I'd love that organization too. I'm sure him and Kraft are best friends up in that box. But yeah, I just really like Mike Vrabel here. Absolutely nothing against Mike Macdonald. I think what he's been able to do really should win him Coach of the Year. I do truly believe that he's going to be the Coach of the Year this year. And he's such a great defensive mind, and that shows, obviously, because as we just talked about, the Seahawks have the number 1 defense in the league this year. But just with all of that playoff experience and just really sheer bias and like from me, I am going to stick with the Patriots in this one for the coaching staff. And then finally, if you look back, you probably noticed that Cal and I have agreed on all 6 of these. But I should say, we split it 3-3. So you're probably saying it's a complete toss-up. Are they going to agree here? Are they going to pick the same again? It's the latter. We picked the same again, and we both picked the Patriots to be your 2026 Super Bowl champion.
Yep, I like the Patriots to reign supreme again. Even though I realize I am throwing away the pick'em game, I just can't pick the Seahawks here. It's just too much set up for the Patriots to win and dominate again. Because even though Seattle's going to be looking for revenge from their previous Super Bowl, like you said, there's no one from that team that's still there. There's no one on that staff that's still there. The only one that's still there is the GM, and he's not playing.
He can't do much at this point.
Yes, he's done all his work already in the offseason. So because of that, I like the Patriots to win here. I like Drake May to be your Super Bowl MVP. I like for him to really show that he is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league for years to come here and dominate this game. I think that Sam Darnold finally meets his match and sees his ghosts again, because it is Vrabel who obviously had the learning of coaching from Bill Belichick, who was able to just really get in Darnold's head and make him see the ghost and haunt him. So because of that, I think he's able to tap into his inner Belichick, and he's able to get Sam Darnold to throw his interceptions and bring up the ghost of Darnold's past.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I picked the Patriots as well. Again, I hate to say it, a lot of it's probably bias. I think, to be honest, if I'm a betting man and I'm putting a bunch of money on it, I probably pick the Seahawks to win. But I want the Patriots to win so much more, and I think it's so close. Like, I think it's truly a toss-up pick-em-wise.
It's going to be a good game.
I'm going to go ahead and stick with the pick-em here. But it's going to be interesting to see, because at this point, I've become a believer. I do think that Darnold doesn't really see the ghost. I don't think he crumbles by any means. I think that he plays a really solid game, and I think even if he plays a solid game, the Patriots still pick up a win. But at this point, with all those factors going against him and this being the true big game, if he crumbles, he's going to have so much built up pressure from the weeks before. It's going to be bad. It's going to, the walls are going to come tumbling down if Sam Darnold falls apart in this game. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how that all plays out. But overall, I think the Patriots just find a way to get it done. I mean, the Seahawks have played some close games and they've played some great games in this playoff run, but I feel like they've had a more normal run, I would say, where when you look at the Patriots, they of course had all the home field advantage, but not the 1 seed. So they had to still go out there and win in the wild card round. They had that crazy game of the snow against the Broncos just last week in the AFC Championship game. They have just found a way to win no matter what is going on around them. They've been fully unfazed about all those factors that have pushed against them. And the Seahawks haven't really had to push back against that yet. I mean, if you look at what they had a first round bye, and then they went against the 49ers team at home that was just, you want to talk about crumbling. That team was just in shamble from injuries. They were facing practically the 49ers second team. And then, of course, they had that really good game against the Rams, which I'm not taking anything against them from that because that was an amazing game. But I feel like the Patriots have just had a harder run there and have proved themselves more and just have so much more here to kind of finish out and really earn. And I think that is what propels them to pick up a win in this game. So that was our prediction for the 2026 Super Bowl and the 2026 playoffs as a whole. Let us know what you guys think in the comments about whether what we have already predicted, about what we said in the reactions, about what you think is going to happen here in this Super Bowl game. Make sure you tune in into the Pro Bowl, which is still kind of fun. I like the Pro Bowl. It's a little silly.
It's flag football
but
now.
The flag football is so entertaining, and
competition.
You can tell they're having fun, and the skills competition gets that
when it's down to Shadur Sanders as your Pro Bowl quarterback.
That's when it starts losing. So actually disregard. Just pretend the Pro Bowl doesn't happen. Just keep looking forward to the Super Bowl, but make sure you watch the Super Bowl. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And not really sure what we're going to do for episodes. Have some travel next week for work. I do. So we probably won't have any sort of Super Bowl reaction, but we'll definitely be doing stuff just scattered randomly throughout the off season. So keep a close eye out on the subscription box. But until the next time we see you, don't forget
to eat the W.